Bem, boa tarde a todos. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to speak English because of our guest here. We are very happy and very fortunate to have Ms. Shona Sabnis. She's a wonderful person, but she has a profession, and a very high-level profession. She's the global Vice-President for Public Affairs for Corteva. And she has a very strong responsibility. She has a very strong character as well. I had the pleasure of meeting her a few days ago. She's a wonderful person. She has lived and traveled the globe, and she lived in Brazil for more than a year. She loves Brazil, and she's addicted to the cuisine of Brazil. And we are very fortunate to have Ms. Sabnis. And Ms. Sabnis will have some introductory remarks, and after that, we'll have a chat here between the two of us. So Shona lives in Indianapolis today, but she has lived not only around the globe, but also for many years in New York. So she's a very experienced person in public affairs globally, and particularly on the challenges that the world is facing today. Her knowledge, her expertise counts a lot. So thank you very much, Shona. We are eager to hear you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Obrigada, Dr. Plinio. Can you hear me? Obrigada. Thanks for the introduction. It's such a pleasure to be here. I wish I could speak Portuguese, but my Portuguese, I lived here for a long time ago, so my Portuguese isn't so great these days. So I'm speaking to you in English, but thank you so much for having me here. As Dr. Plinio just said, and as my colleagues at Corteva know, I love Brazil. I love everything about Brazil. I love moqueca, I love Bahia, I love feijoada. And just so I'm not talking only about food, I also will say that I love Brazilian farmers since I started meeting them, since I started here in Corteva. But most of all, I actually love the spirit of Brazil, the spirit of the kindness, the joy, the creativity that you see everywhere in this country, every corner, on every street. And the idea that Brazilians have that our best days are just ahead of us. So we share this optimism with you at Corteva. And why shouldn't we be optimistic? Agriculture has a fantastic track record here. In Brazil, in the 1970s, we saw the Cerrado transform from land considered unsuitable for farming to one of the most productive agricultural regions today. And what an achievement that was. This transformation was possible thanks to smart, progressive policies enacted by the Brazilian government, coupled with groundbreaking technology, including the kind that Corteva makes. And as everyone here will know today, Brazilian agriculture has moved from feeding the country to feeding the world. For example, at the end of the 20th century, Brazilian farmers were producing roughly 2.7 metric tons of corn per hectare. Today, that number is more than double to nearly 6 tons of corn per hectare. In 1999, Brazilian farmers produced about 2.4 metric tons of soybeans per hectare. Today, that number has nearly also doubled to 3.6 metric tons per hectare. The same thing for barley, wheat, sorghum, and rice. Incredible, incredible grains over the past 2 decades. To be clear, a lot of this work is due to the hard work and ingenuity of Brazilian farmers, like many of those in the audience today, many of you and many of your families. But Brazil has also embraced technology. Things like precision agriculture, collecting real-time data from satellites, drones, and sensors to make better decisions on the field. This country is also using seed technology, including Corteva's, crop rotation, advanced crop protection, including Corteva's, double cropping, and cutting-edge machinery to improve output and efficiency. So as a result, as Brazilian agriculture has taken its place on the global stage, agriculture's share of the Brazilian economy has grown to nearly 25%. As a comparison, in America, agriculture is about 5% of the economy. So what a role agriculture plays in Brazil. At the same time, per capita GDP in Brazil has grown about 40%. Of course, that's not all due to agriculture, but certainly agriculture has had an important role to play. Right. And we see this, of course, not only in Brazil, but everywhere around the world. In India, for example, maybe 60 years ago, so quite a long time ago, the Green Revolution transformed production. The Green Revolution used a wide variety of technology and modern farming techniques technology was able to triple the amount of food that India made with only 30% more land. And of course, when farmers do well and agriculture does well, it has other impacts. So in India, after the Green Revolution, hunger declined, poverty declined, food prices were lower. And studies, in fact, showed that caloric availability in India, the amount of calories people had to eat, would have been about 13% lower if not for the Green Revolution. So in short, much like Brazil, the Green Revolution moved India from someone with a country under threat of famine to a global agricultural leader and today is self-sufficient in food. Our CEO at Corteva, Chuck Magro, will often says that there's no nobler profession in the world than agriculture because there's no nobler purpose than feeding people. I think the example here in Brazil, the example in India shows why Chuck is so right. But enough about the past. Brazil is about the future, so let's talk about the future. As a technology company at Corteva, we know that technology and innovation have the power to catapult this country and its farmers to an even bigger role on the world stage, even bigger than today. We believe that. We live in interesting times when geopolitical shifts and a reordering of international alliances could have a profound impact on our shared future and on the future of agriculture. At the same time, the world's population is growing. We will have nearly 2 billion more mouths to feed in the next 25 years. People's tastes are changing. People across the world are eating nearly every kind of more meat. And experts, including the Food and Agriculture Organization based in Rome, expect this trend to continue for the near future. Importing countries like China, Europe, and even Korea are looking to new markets to meet growing demand for grain. We believe Brazil has a role to play to meet that demand. And in fact, we believe that Brazil stands at the crossroads of each of these realities. We believe that Brazil can seize this moment of opportunity, harness innovation as America did a generation ago, and feed even more of our world's growing population. And in doing so, from Roraima to Rio Grande do Sul, we believe that Brazil can build on the momentum of the past 2 decades and lift up its farmers and its rural communities. And the first step, not the only step, but the first step is technology. Today is actually Corteva's 6th birthday, so we're happy birthday, Corteva. But we're a 6-year-old company, but our roots stretch back 100 years in Iowa, thanks to our Pioneer brand. So we've been working with farmers for 100 years. So we like to call ourselves a 100-year-old startup. And while we are a technology company, technology is not our mission. Our mission, the reason all of us get up every day to go to work, is to help farmers grow more food and to grow more profitable. We know that Corteva only succeeds when farmers succeed. And we take particular pride in helping farmers in places like Brazil because we know that farming in tropical countries has challenges that other regions do not. Farming is hard work nearly everywhere. Early mornings, late nights, and almost no time off. Here in Brazil, you add to that hard work the disease, the heat, the pests, years of too much rain, and sometimes, like last year, years of too little rain. So we understand that. And for all the farmers here listening to me today, I would like you to know that you deserve Corteva's deep respect and admiration. To work with you and alongside you is our honor and our privilege, and we thank you for that. And you are, in fact, the reason why we invest $4 million every single day in technology and innovation, much of it destined for Brazil. We do this because we want to make your jobs a little less tough and help you grow more food. And in fact, in Brazil, over the past 5 years, we have invested more than $150 million in research. 5 years, $150 million, so we can bring technologies like the Conquesta and List system to Brazilian farmers. Conquesta combines high-performance genetics with best-in-class management of weeds and caterpillars. We know how much of a challenge caterpillars are here, and thankfully we have a solution for you. We also had 2 other major launches in crop protection here in recent years. Paxeo, a really innovative herbicide developed with more than a decade of research across 500 different sites in Brazil. Paxeo is for soybean cultivation and is a great solution to effectively control weeds. We also have GAFFFF, an herbicide that helps plants mature at the same time, allows farmers to plant safrinha corn earlier, and prevents productivity losses of an incredible 38%. And my personal favorite, Nutricia N and Blue N, a biological innovation that transforms nitrogen from the air into nitrogen for plants. We are so pleased to see it proving to be such a success here in Brazil. And of course, over the next few years, we'll be investing even more as Brazil harnesses this opportunity to take its place even more so on the global stage. Ultimately, here in Brazil, we want to make sure that Brazilian farmers have access to the same technology, the same groundbreaking technology that farmers in the United States have today. Because we know that these kinds of investments don't benefit farmers alone, they benefit all of Brazil. And in fact, agriculture in Brazil is a driver of the social and economic development of this country. Over the past 10 years alone, it has helped lift 40 million people into the middle class. Data today shows that agriculture supports more than 30% of the jobs in Brazil. And of course, we saw just this week that Brazil's GDP grew in the first quarter of 2025, thanks to agriculture, which grew about 12%. This is impressive stuff, and I think we should all be proud of the contribution all of us make to Brazilian agriculture. And since today is our birthday, I think I can make one wish, and I'll make that wish a heartfelt one, that we see the success in Brazilian agriculture continue. For those of us who love Brazil, there's nothing we want to see more, there's nothing we like to see more. We love to see this country and its farmers thriving, because we know that in the end, our story is not just about productivity, it's about progress. It's about a sector that empowers communities and drives an entire nation forward, and does so by feeding the world, our shared and noble purpose. We know that we're not just growing food together, we're planting our shared future. So, muito obrigada, mais uma vez, pela atenção. Thank you very much, and I'll walk over now.
Shona, I feel so fortunate to be sharing the stage with you. And I have to tell you, we are very fortunate this GAFFFF to have powerful women like you. Tomorrow we are going to have Prime Minister Gro Brundtland, who is at the same level as yours. She was the author of the Brundtland Report in 1987, who launched the concept of sustainable development. And in the afternoon, we'll have Luiz Helena Trajano, who is an icon in our entrepreneurship here in Brazil, a woman of many gifts, just like yourself as well. I have a few questions that
Of course.
I have prepared to you, and I hope you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. Happy to have a discussion.
Okay, cool. First question is, Shona, ag technology has proven to be a powerful driver of economic development and transformation. From your perspective, what are some of the most compelling examples of how ag technology has reshaped local economies and lands around the globe? And this is a very dear issue here because since agriculture developed so much in the past 50 years, we have seen many centers of ag production growing a lot in the past 40, 50 years. So for the audience, not only farmers, but population in general, we have seen this happening. But we would like to have your insights, not only about what is happening here, but around the globe.
Yeah, I think sometimes when we answer that question, we often think of developing countries like Brazil or India. But let me start with my home country, America. American farmers today produce 300% more on the same amount of land than they did a generation ago. So as you can imagine, so there are many states, including the state I live in, Indiana, where the number one sector is agriculture. So as you can imagine, when these farmers do that much better, they bring millions of people, millions of Americans along with them. when ag thrives, rural America thrives. And I'm sure that's the same here. We talked about this transformation of the Cerrado. I mean, that must have been an amazing impact on the lives of everyday Brazilians in the center of the country. India is another example where we see, agriculture, as productivity grows, as smallholder farmers grow more, they earn more food. The impact isn't just on agriculture. The impact is a social impact. Their kids go to school because they can afford to go to school. The socioeconomic development of the whole town, of the whole community rises. So I think that's really how we see the power of agriculture. It's not, certainly food is very important, as I said, very noble, but it's not just about that. It's about the power to transform communities and to do it sustainably. I think agriculture, sometimes we have a little bit of a reputation sometimes issue, but I think there's, as my CEO says, there's no nobler profession, because this we're feeding people, we're raising communities, and it's such an exciting time to be in agriculture.
This is so true, Shona. We organized the forum, the Global Agribusiness Forum, since 2010. But in 2016, we had the presence of the Brazilian President Michel Temer. And he had just taken the office 2-3 months before we organized the forum. And he was supposed to be here with us for 15 minutes. Well, it was so... he was so impacted by what he felt that he ended up staying 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Wow.
And he told his story because his family was a family of immigrants from Lebanon, and they came to live in a small city here in São Paulo. And he said exactly what you just mentioned. His father was living in a small farm, and from the income that his father obtained, he was able to study law and eventually become president of Brazil. So that's exactly what you mentioned. Yeah. Well, my second question to you is, from my perspective, and this is really heartfelt, the seed is the most democratic form of technology in ag. The same hybrid seed that can serve both a 5-hectare and a 500,000 hectare farmer is based on basically innovation. So the question is, how is innovation, especially in seed technology, leveling off the playing field for smallholder farmers, and what examples from around the world demonstrate the transformative impact of accessible ag technologies?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say all technology is important, certainly seed technology, but if you grow plants but can't protect them, it's not much about. So I'll speak about all technology, but we really see. So Corteva is a farmer first organization, so farmer first, farmer centric, and we serve all kinds of farmers. We serve organic farmers, we serve conventional farmers. We have large customers here. We might have some small customers here today too, but I think the impact that I've seen technology have on small farmers is sometimes just as inspirational as the impact it has on large farmers. So I just came out of a panel where a customer in Mato Grosso do Sul was talking about how our biologicals technology helped him grow more corn than in the history of the farm. That's inspiring. Equally inspiring is the story that I love of Nelson from Pernambuco, who started as actually a farm worker. And we have a program called Prospera that works across 5 states in the Northeast, in the Brazilian Northeast, including my beloved Bahia. And the program is designed to help farmers grow more food and become more profitable. So this guy Nelson, and I guess he was just a farm worker, he went from not owning any land and making sort of a okay living, but maybe not a great one, to now farming 60 hectares of corn, employing 5 people, owning a tractor, owning machinery, and I guess he's now called the king of corn in his region. So you can see, and you can only imagine the impact that success has on his children, on his family. So we see the impact of technology, as I said, on large farms and on small farms, and we find both incredibly inspirational.
Thank you very much. Well, from your experience as a professional, what role should governments and the private sector play in fostering innovation needed to support the next phase of ag growth?
It's a great question. I see farming and innovation, agriculture and government as a marriage. You really can't be successful in agriculture without a government partner. I would say that every government that, I oversee government affairs globally, and from Vietnam to India to the United States to Brazil, every government wants to see agriculture succeed. Every government wants to see its farmers succeed. So we should be partners, and we should think of ourselves as partners. What can the government do? I mean, the government's role is so critical because, of course, we need trade policies so that when the farmers produce their crops, they have some place to sell it. We need infrastructure so that the grain can go from Mato Grosso to the ports to go to wherever it's going to go to. We need IP protection so government to companies like ours can continue to invest. We need a really progressive, agile, fast regulatory system so that the regulation can keep up with the technology that keeps up with the challenges that farmers face. So we see government as playing a really, really critically important role, and we hope every government that wants to see farmers succeed sees themselves as a partner of agriculture, and is willing to work with companies like ours and the farmers like the ones here in the audience today.
Shona, in Brazil, production is growing much faster than infrastructure, and we feel that we need to do still a tremendous work and job in storage, in rail, transportation, in ports, infrastructure.
Yeah, I hear a lot about insurance.
Insurance as well, yes. Well, thank you very much. Well, as you know, one of the reasons why GAFF is held in São Paulo is to bring the farm closer to the city. And with that, offer a better vision of the ag sector to society in general. Based on your experience, how can ag technology and innovation help shift public perceptions about modern agriculture?
Yeah, another good question. I used to work for the utility industry, the power industry, and my CEO used to make a joke that people thought power came from the wall. Like you would turn on the switch and that's where the power came from. And I think similarly, I'm not so sure that people really understand where their food comes from. I don't think they understand how hard a farmer's job is. I don't think they understand how hard farmers work. We actually did a survey in America to find out exactly this. Do people understand how hard it is to be a farmer? And we had a question that from someone, this individual worked for the government, but we don't know where, that said, and this woman was like, we don't know why farmers need pesticides. Like, why can't they just go in the field and pull out the weeds themselves? And we were like, but that to us was a wake-up call, because it showed us that even in the government, even in the sector of the government that worked with agriculture, people don't actually understand farming. So what can we do about this? I think we need to speak up more. I think we need to tell our story more. All of us here have social media accounts. Some of us are on social media right now, I bet. So I think we need to do a better job of telling the story of agriculture, because if we don't do it, someone else will. And right now, we're kind of a modest, conservative industry, and we love agriculture for that. We don't want to be arrogant. We don't want to be, talking about ourselves all the time. But maybe we can agree that we need to do it a little bit more than we do today, because if we don't, so as I said, someone else will do it. And I see a little bit of that happening in America. I see it happening in Europe for sure. And I hear from my colleagues here that it's also true in Brazil. So
Shona, this is exactly why we decided to organize GAFF, because not only DATAGRO, but all the organizing organizations that are behind it feel the same. And we are so glad to have XP and Corteva with us, supporting and enabling this with other sponsors for this to happen, because I think this is the biggest job we have to make at this moment, to have all the conditions for innovation to continue to be developed. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
We have heard that large companies like Corteva invest annually around 10% of their total revenues in R&D. This investment is key for the development of molecules that are more modern and meet new and changing challenges in pest and disease control. Also, there's an increasing share of bio-inputs in your portfolio. Can you share with us which are some of the major tendencies you see are projected for the future?
Yeah, so you heard me say in my speech that we invest $4 million every day, including weekends, in innovation. And so where we see the future going, we have these things called 6 growth platforms that we see across agriculture. One, for sure, gene editing, the ability to tailor a solution to a specific challenge easily, quickly, and pretty affordably. We really see gene editing as being transformative to agriculture, and particularly here in Brazil, in places like Brazil, where the challenges are faster because you don't have an off-season like we do. So the insect and pest pressures are stronger here than they are in the U.S., and you need technology that can keep up with that. Gene editing, we believe, is a solution to that. Gene editing could create more nutritious food. It can create, it can help farmers grow more food. It can reduce the need for other inputs like fertilizer. So we see, like, just the way GMOs and biotechnology transformed agriculture, in the late 20th century, the technology of the 21st century will be gene editing. And I heard my CEO say this a couple of weeks ago. The country with the most number of patents on gene editing is China. After the country of China, it's Corteva. So that's how heavily we're investing in gene editing. I think we're excited about other things, biologicals. You heard Frederick talk about biologicals earlier today. We're super excited about hybrid wheat because hybrid corn transformed the corn market 100 years ago. We're super excited about what hybrid wheat can do to transform wheat. I think we're launching in just another couple of years, so I guess we'll find out. Biofuels is something else. As the world moves away from fossil fuels, we see biofuels as a really exciting opportunity for farmers. And we'll be working, I know, a lot here in Brazil to make sure Brazilian farmers benefit from the SAF mandates in Europe, for example. So those are a few of the trends we see.
Very powerful messages, Shona. Well, any final message you would like to leave us with today? Besides hoping and praying that it doesn't rain?
That it doesn't rain on me. I would say that, our company is heavily invested in Brazil. I'm not the only one in my company who loves Brazil. I think maybe I eat the most moqueca, but we are a company of Brazil fans. And so we're really proud to be here. We're proud to be here partnering with you. We're proud to partner with Brazilian farmers. And we hope to continue to sort of work alongside farmers to see Brazilian agriculture thrive. So thank you very much.
Shona, you are a lovely person. And I'm sure that everybody here who is related in some way to the ag sector has the same feeling about Corteva and now about you and your colleagues. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful discussion. Thank you. A round of applause to Shona Sabnis, please. Thank you.
O orgulho de ser brasileiro está em quadra. Vamos juntos fazer história. Ponto a ponto. XP, investidora oficial do João Fonseca.
AgriConnection. Ative a rede que vai transformar o agro.